Welcome to part 3 of our series on how to set up in-ear monitoring. In this episode, we're going to discuss a professional wired in-ear monitoring setup, specifically for a band who want a professional and fully functional monitoring system without incurring the substantial cost of the wireless monitoring element. There are many ways to set up an in-ear monitoring system. You may require more or less control than what we outline here. Our guide should at least give you a good idea of what is possible on a relatively small budget. Professional wired setup. What will I need? For this 4-band member setup, you will need a rack-mounted microphone splitter. We would recommend the ART S8 8-channel microphone splitter. A rack-mounted headphone amplifier. We would recommend the ART Headamp 6 Pro 6-channel headphone amplifier system. A monitor mixing desk. We would recommend the PV F2 16-channel mixing desk. 3 direct injection boxes, also known as DIs. We would recommend a Samson S Direct DI box. 4 stereo headphone extension cables with 6.35mm male jack to 6.35mm female output. 4 6.35mm male to 3.5mm female adapters. 4 balanced stereo 6.35mm jack-to-jack cables. 2 multi-core 8-way link cables. 5 male XLR to female XLR cables. 3 6.35mm male to male instrument cables. Finally, you will need some in-ear monitoring earphones, 1 per musician. We recommend Audiofly Performance Series in-ear monitors, made by musicians for musicians. Other than instruments, amps, and instrument cables, traditionally supplied by the band, other on-stage items such as the stage box, microphones, extra DI boxes, and their connecting cables are typically provided by venues as standard. Also, we would suggest you get a flight case with built-in 19-inch U-racks in order to set up and transport all your monitoring equipment safely and conveniently. For the rig outlined here, we would recommend the SKB Gig Rig R1406. How to set it up. This setup requires all the microphone and instrument signals from the stage to be split, using your rack-mounted splitter box and DI boxes, creating 2 sets of signals. 1 of each of the pairs of outputs from the splitter box and the DI boxes will go to the front of house mixing desk via the stage box as usual. This is where the first of your 8-way cables will be used. Also, use the XLR cables to patch the DI boxes into the stage box. The other outputs will go to the monitor mixing desk in your rack. This is where the second of your 8-way cables will be used. In this setup, there will be 12 signals sent to the monitor desk. Firstly, 8 from the splitter box, 1 for kick drum, 1 for the snare, 1 for an ambient drum mix from a drum overhead, 1 for lead guitar, 1 for rhythm guitar, 2 for backing vocals, and 1 for lead vocals. Also, connect the 6.35 to 6.35mm instrument cables from linked outputs on the 3 DI boxes to the monitor mixer. For this setup, there are 3. 1 for keyboard, 1 for the bass, and 1 for an electronic instrument, in this case a Roland SPD. Connect a final mic directly to the monitoring mixing desk, bypassing the mic splitter. This is the ambient mic, to add general sound from the room into the monitoring mix if required. Now all the instruments are connected to the monitoring desk, you need to send the mix signals to the headphone amplifier. Use the 4 balanced 6.35mm jack-to-jack cables from the 4 auxiliary send outputs on the monitoring desk, inserting the other ends into the first 4 auxiliary channels on the back of the headphone amplifier. These will be the individual mixes for each of the 4 members of the band. Now send the main mix to the balanced main inputs, left and right, on the back of the headphone amplifier. This will be the general mix that each musician hears, as well as the instruments they want to hear louder from their personal mix. Now connect the 4 stereo headphone extension cables to the headphone outputs, 1 for each channel. The last piece of the setup is adding your in-ear monitors to the headphone extension cable. Most in-ear monitors use a 3.5mm jack, so you will need a stereo 6.35mm male to 3.5mm female adapter to do this. Be careful that once your in-ear monitors are ready, all volume knobs are at 0 before switching the headphone amp on. How to mix it. First, get levels for the 12 channels using the faders on the monitor mixing desk. You can also EQ each instrument from the desk to get better sound from the raw instrument inputs. This is your general mix. Keep the mono with no panning, as it will eventually appear in one ear only. Next, create each individual band member's mix, turning up their assigned auxiliary send number on each channel according to how much volume they would like from each instrument. You can add effects to each instrument channel by assigning auxiliaries 5 and 6 on the monitor mixing desk as effects channels. It's not advisable to use a great deal of effects, as you are trying to create a true representation of the musical performance. However, a little reverb may actually help a dry instrument feel a bit more realistic. Now you can define the amount of general mix against the personal mix for each band member by altering the master volume of their assigned auxiliary send. If the general mix is too loud against the auxiliary master volume, you can turn up the auxiliary master on the mixing desk, or you can use the balance knob on the headphone amp. There's 1 for each channel. To get the right blend of the 2 mixes, left for more main mix, right for more of their preferred instruments mix. More of the personal mix will result in less effects from the main mix, and more of the general mix will result in less of their preferred instrument levels. Finally, EQ shaping can be assigned individually on each channel of the headphone amplifier for further personal mix preference, such as cutting highs or boosting bass. Guitarists can wrap the headphone extension cable around their guitar instrument cable. Another idea is to loop the extension cable through a belt loop. Although this limits the maximum distance the wearer can travel from the headphone amp, inside this distance, which could be 10 meters, you retain your perfect mix. That was our guide on how to build a professional wired in-ear monitor setup. In the final episode from our series on using in-ear monitors, we'll be looking at how to build your own professional wireless setup. Find more information on Audiofly in-ear monitors and monitoring setups in the description below.